What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel yet again. I know it's been a minute since I made a video, so I figured I'd go ahead and try to shoot something tonight. This one obviously is going to be kind of laid back and relaxed. It's raining outside. We got thunderstorms for like the next 4 days, so that's going to suck, which means a lot of good driving is going to be missed out on this week. So if you guys didn't check it out, check out my last upload. I actually uploaded some footage of a buddy of mine and myself racing at the drag strip, which was last Friday. And I did have my camera with me, but I decided not to set it up because I wanted to focus more on trying to get the car dialed in. So I'm sorry that I didn't really set it up and get a whole lot of good footage, but there is that one little clip of us racing. He has a Focus RS. It is right around a little over 400 horsepower, I think he said, maybe mid 400s. It's running E50 on it right now. He had just received like a revised tune that evening as well, so he can't really say if it was better or worse or who knows. So that car is full bolt-ons, and he ran a best, I think, 12.5. At least that's what I saw. I don't know. He might have hit something a little faster. I myself, my best run was 13.521 at 104. And that was after I added about 1.5 millimeters of preload back to the wastegate because I noticed that my boost didn't seem to be holding quite as well anymore. And I also went ahead and checked all my intercooler piping just to make sure that I wasn't making some sort of mistake there, as well as I did do that seafoam treatment, and I wasn't quite 100% positive that I had tightened that hose clamp as hard as I could have. So what I did was I took my little small impact driver, and I kind of just, gave a few little mini ugga-duggas or whatever you guys want to call them on a few of the hose clamps, the ones that I could reach pretty easily. And after doing that and adding that little bit of preload back, it seemed to boost a lot better. I was able to hit my target boosts, or at least what I could see, and I was able to hold my target boost pretty much all the way to redline. Target boost on my map C when I'm running 100 octane, which is what I was running that night, is right around 23 psi, maybe 23 and a half ish. That's what it's supposed to try to hit. Right now I'm getting, as soon as I go wide open throttle, which usually is right around 3,500 RPM or so, if I'm doing like a rolling pull, and watching it go from 4,000 RPM all the way through 6,500 RPM, it starts off at about 5 degrees of advanced timing, and it actually moves up. While it's pulling, it'll actually go up to about 10 degrees of advanced timing right towards the very last part of the rev range. So that's actually really good that it's advancing timing all the way through the pulls, which means I got more room to grow. I could possibly tighten up that wastegate just a little bit more. I did notice that it seems to drop right around 6,000 RPM. It'll drop to about 21.8 psi, which isn't much of a drop. We're only talking maybe 1.2-ish, maybe 1.5 psi at most, but it really does make a huge difference, because about 3 weeks ago I went out to the track with another buddy of mine in the red GTI. If you guys are checking out my Instagram, you'll see a picture of us out there. We went out there, and I think my best time that day was like 13.8 or 13.9, and it wasn't making a whole lot of sense to me. I was like, why am I, running kind of slower? Because last year when I was on stage 2 with the stock turbo still, I ran a 13.5 as well, just like I kind of did now. But last year my 60 foots were a lot better than they had been this year, and that was another thing I didn't understand. I was like, how do I have this extra grip with these summer tires, and I've got more power, but how am I getting worse 60 foots? So my Friday at the track, I did a lot of playing around with tire pressures. I did a lot of playing around with at what RPM could I stall the torque converter out and get a good launch, and that seemed to be right around the 2,500 RPM range. My best 60 foot, I actually held it at about 2,800, but it didn't really feel that nice doing that to the transmission. So I think 2,500 is more optimal. So what I want to do now is I want to add that little bit, just that tiny little bit extra onto the wastegate. And what I'm going to do is I'm hoping that that'll help the turbo spool a little bit quicker, but also hold that boost a whole lot better the whole way through. I want to see it hold, 22 and a half, 23 psi all the way to redline, shift and then get right back up there again. I think that would help tremendously. My goal is to hopefully the next time that I can get out there, which should be in maybe 1 or 2 weeks, this week's shot, because it's going to be raining. They already canceled tonight because of the rain. And I'm guessing that they're probably going to cancel Friday because we have like 100% chance of rain there too. It's supposed to rain like all the way through Monday coming up, I believe. So maybe next Friday or Tuesday, maybe I can get out there depending on the weather. I also, need to go ahead and make that little adjustment like I was talking about. So I'm going to get that taken care of. Throw another 32 ounce can of the race gas concentrate that I bought off of MA Performance, and hopefully, see her do about a 13 flat, if not a 12.9. That's my goal this year, was basically to get into the 12s, which is why I decided to chase the bigger turbo rather than the meth injection first. It would be nice if I could go ahead and buy meth injection with the summer coming up. It would definitely help get some more consistent runs in. But right now it's just not in the cards. I don't really have the funds after doing all this stuff to be chasing car parts right now. Right now I just got to make sure that, we're taken care of, the family's taken care of, and, we're not drowning or anything like that. So I think I'm just going to hold off on the water meth for now. I do also want to get an exhaust, but I think I'm going to do the water meth first. I guess it just kind of depends. Everybody always says to go with the Aquamist kit on these cars. Right now, it seems like most people are saying you need to contact them and see if they will kind of custom build you a kit, or kind of like a, I guess, call to order kit. So that's going to be kind of delayed. I can get a Snow Performance or an AEM kit. I actually just kind of briefly commented and talked to a guy on Instagram who I noticed was running an AEM kit, and I asked him how it was. He said he's had it for about a month, and so far so good. So I might look into the Snow Performance, or I might look into the AEM as well. Just because for one price, you can get an AEM kit for around $400, $450. Same with the Snow Performance, and the Aquamist is right around $1,200, and I think it's like at the lowest it's like $950 maybe, but you don't even get the reservoir tank for your meth at that point. So I don't think that one's going to play into the cards very well. The other thing is the exhaust. I'm probably going to end up in the long run going with the MagnaFlow if I'm not patient. But if I'm patient, I'm going to do, the best I can to wait it out and just get like the Miltech, like a non-res Miltech, or I might even get the resonated Miltech, just because I do want the car to be nice and comfortable for cruising. As you guys might have seen in one of my last episodes, when I went to DC, I kind of tried to show you guys how the car drones a little bit on the highway. If you're doing like 65 to 70 miles an hour, it's not that bad, but once you get over those ranges, like if you're trying to like cruise at say like 80 or 85 depending on where you are. I know down in Florida the speed limits are like 75 miles an hour, and a lot of people will end up doing like 85. Most people will do about 10 over, maybe 15 max on the highway to be safe. Around here is no different. The speed limit here usually is around 65, but people still like will ride you, they'll ride your ass all the way up to 80 miles an hour, or else they're gonna get pissed off and start honking at you and flashing lights and whatever else. So, let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Oh, I know. So what I'm going to talk about real quick right now is, let's talk about the additional modifications that I've done. So, since I did the first modification video, how much does it cost to modify a Mini Cooper? Excuse me. Since I did my first video about how much it costs to modify my Mini Cooper, I did want to go ahead and kind of do like an update video to that. So if you watched that last video, and if you haven't, it's actually my most viewed video right now about minis. Actually, it's probably my most viewed video of all. Right now, you can get to stage 2 if you buy the right parts. If you budget a little bit, you can get there right around under $1,000, and I go over all of that in my last video. I run an eBay intercooler, which was $135. I bought the Manic Tune with the SPS switch, which was about $750. So right there, you're up to, a little over 800 or so, or actually just under 900. And then the only other thing you really need at that point is a downpipe, and you can't get downpipes pretty cheap. You can find them used, or you could go the brand new route. But either way, you can get some of the cheaper downpipes out there and take a risk on them, take a jump on them, see if you want to go that route. That is about $150. If you buy a legit one, you can actually get them as cheap as $200, which isn't a bad deal. So right there, you're right around getting close to that $1,100 mark. But that's really all you actually need to go stage 2. You can drop like a K&N filter or some kind of other filter in your box as well, just to help the turbo breathe a little better, but it's not 100% necessary. And I actually ran my car stock on stage 2, but I ran the lowest map setting, which was map A, which got me right around like a spike of 19 psi, but it would hold about 18. And I ran that actually with no other modifications for about a month, maybe a month and a half, while I waited on my intercooler to come in, and also to get somewhere that would do the downpipe for me, because I had a bolt snap off in there. So I had to have that kind of tapped out and taken care of. So that's why it took me a little more time. But all in all, I mean, it's a great investment if you have an R56, R55, or any of the R series of Mini Coopers that are turbocharged. You get a decent amount of power, and like I said, when I was stage 2, I ran, a 13.5 was my best, and that was on all-season tires that weren't all that great. That was in November of last year, I want to say. So the temps, like the ambient temp, so your intake temps and all that is affected, was a lot lower, but at least the track and the asphalt had a lot of time to go through summer and be kind of warm and tacky. So it was actually like the optimal running condition, which the track now is, the asphalt's kind of cool, but if you get out there on a day where it's decently warm, like this last time we went, it was like 70 some degrees, maybe 80. It was actually pretty decent, and there were some big tire cars running out there, which does make a huge difference, because they're usually putting traction compound on their tires, or they're leaving some sticky rubber down at the start line when they're taking off. So it actually does play to your advantage a little bit. So yeah, that's a great investment. If you have one of these things, I would totally chase that. My eBay intercooler worked out really good. The downpipe actually got used off of Mario when I did my tune. Then you have the NGK 1422 spark plugs. You can't forget that. You can actually get those on Amazon for about, I think, $45 or so. They're the same spark plugs that come OEM in the Evo X or Evo 10. NGK 1422 iridiums, they're a 1-step or a 2-step colder than your stock spark plugs. I think it's 2 steps colder than an S spark plug, but it's 1 step colder than a JCW spark plug. And they work out really, really well. I haven't had an issue with them at all. So you can go stage 2 for right around $1,100, maybe $1,200. Great investment. So, but at that point, I wanted more power. So the only things I really needed to go stage 3 was a bigger turbo and new software. A lot of people will not throw a bigger turbocharger on their minis until they do water meth. But so far, like I said, I have not had any issues, and I think it can honestly be put on hold as long as you're watching your temperatures, you're watching what you're doing, and you're paying attention to how your car is reacting as far as knock, your air-fuel ratio, etc. And I think if you have a good tuner that knows what they're talking about and what they're doing, you'll definitely be set as well, which is why I highly recommend that you talk to Mario Palza, who's out in California. He is an independent guy. He deals for Manic, and he also deals now for RPM Power, which is the tune that I actually decided to go with for my Stage 3. It's actually kind of a mix of the Manic and the RPM in a sense that it allowed my SPS switch to stay enabled, meaning that I still have 3 maps and I can switch between them, but all of the power, the fuel trim, the timing trims, and all that, it all comes from RPM power. And honestly, it definitely pulls a whole lot smoother and a whole lot better than the Manic tune did. And I didn't try Manic Stage 3, but Manic Stage 2, just comparing the two, it does feel a lot better. So I would highly recommend going with him with the RPM tune. I think he's the only dealer for RPM in the US right now. So I needed the tune and I needed the turbo. So a turbo, I went with the JMTC S42, which is their quick spool, which is supposed to give you a nice quick spool, almost like stock, but be able to hold, high boost all the way through the RPM range. So that right there is going to run you anywhere between $900 for a used JMTC that's been refurbished, or it's going to cost you about $1,100 for a brand new one. Now you can also get the 47mm Dominator turbo from JMTC if you want a whole lot of top end power or you're chasing some sort of crazy boost. You can also get that as well. I myself didn't want to go that route. I didn't want to have any kind of the turbo lag. I kind of wanted to keep that same nice instantaneous grunt that the car had from factory. So I went with the S42. I bought it brand new from Mario. I went through Mario and then he connected with JMTC, so he got me the turbo. And the tune for the RPM Stage 3 is $750. It's a little bit more expensive than a Manic tune, which for Stage 2 is like $500 or $550 around there. But like I said, it's totally worth it. It totally works a lot better. The car feels happier. Like I said, I'm getting timing, advances all the way through my pools, which is great. Even on 93 octane. I've noticed that if I leave myself in map C, which I should be using, recommended to use 100 octane. If I fill up the car with 93, I'm still not having any knock. I'm not having any detonation issues. I do notice a difference when I do throw that race concentrate into the system and get the full 100 octane. But like I said, you can still run map C fairly safely. Now, I'm probably going to have to watch that as the temperatures outside continue to go up. Because lately, it hasn't really, been warmer than about 80 degrees that I'm, going out there and beating on the car or whatever. So on race nights, I'm definitely going to run 100 octane, but I'm also going to pay attention to my temperatures. Because that will affect, how much timing advance I get as well. If the air is too hot, the car is going to start pulling timing as well. So the tune and the turbo, you're looking at about $1,850 all said and done. But then you also have to get it installed if you're not going to do it yourself. And no, I did not do mine myself. Because of my experience with the downpipe, I did not want to break one of the studs on, say, the exhaust manifold and deal with that nightmare in my driveway. And I'm not equipped to deal with that in my driveway. So I've got, a pretty good set of tools, basic, to be honest. I've got like my 20-volt impact and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to go through a broken stud on an exhaust manifold by any means. So I took that to the guys at Procom, which is the tuning shop that I take my car to on a regular basis. They're located in, not Lakewood, Lakehurst, New Jersey. Great shop. They specialize in Subarus and GTRs and Evos and stuff like that. Pretty much anything with a Cobb access port, they'll tune it. Unfortunately, Cobb access ports aren't available for minis anymore, except for the Gen 1s that came out under the Alta access port. So, but no big deal. Flash tuning obviously beat out the whole Cobb phase when it came to minis. So, in essence, you're looking at about, like I said, you're looking at $1,850 for your tune and your turbo. Now, if you do the install yourself, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. You don't have to worry about the installation. But my installation, I want to say it was right around like $800, but that also included, at the time, I got the car dynoed right after the turbo was installed, so you have to count about 120 bucks or so for that. So an install should cost you maybe around 600 bucks, 650 or so, depending on the shop, what their rate is, and so on. I trusted to go to Procom and pay what might have been a little bit of extra money compared to some other shops around here that might be cheaper, just because I know the quality of work is going to be worth it in the end. I'm not going to have any headaches afterward, and I didn't. I had no leaks. I had no problems. I didn't have to take the car back for anything, so that all in all was a good deal. So that's going stage 3. You know, you're looking about 1850. Now, another mod that I went ahead and did was I got Votland lowering springs, and the Votland lowering springs were about 220 bucks off of ECS tuning. I took the car back to Procom again, had them installed, an alignment, and I think I had more dyno pools that day. I'm not sure. I think we were trying to test something out. But the springs, getting them installed and getting an alignment is probably going to cost you around $250 for the install and alignment, depending on the shop, like I said again. So you're looking at about $450 right there. And the only other thing that I've really done to the car since then was get the tires installed as well. And I mean, that only costs maybe 120 bucks to have them mounted and balanced. So all in all, let's see, let's do a little calculation. So I spent, we're just going to go with a round number for the stage 2 area. That was around $1,200. Or actually for me, let's go with 14 because I have a CTS turbo intake. So $1,400, I was stage 2. And then I went stage 3. So add 1850, that's going to be 3250. And then add the cost of the lowering springs and the installation and the alignment. That was like 300. So 3550. We'll just say 3550. And then the Riken Raptor ZRs. Those were $250 for all 4 tires. So what did I just say we were at? 3250, right? So we'll take that to, let's just go with 3,500 flat. And then also the mountain balance. So that 20 bucks maybe. So now we're at 3620, right? I don't know, somewhere around there. So to do all the mods in my car, I'm just going to go with a rough number around, let's say, 3,700, just to account for any pennies in there. And this is not including installation of the turbo. If you wanted to include installation of the turbo, then we're talking right around $4,000, maybe a little more, 4,200. And this has been over the course of almost a year now. Now, some of these parts I did not buy outright myself. Like the tires, my father actually gave to me as a gift. It was an early Christmas gift, or a birthday gift, I believe. So I got those kind of early for my birthday, and then but the intake and some of the stuff from ECS Tuning I got a discount on, and there were some other things that I kind of got for a discounted price and whatnot. But what the prices I'm giving you guys is what it would be to buy it brand new with no sort of help or no sort of sponsorship or anything like that. And I'm not really per se a sponsored vehicle or anything right now. That would be totally cool. But this is just what it would cost the average person. So on that note, if you're wondering off the top of your head what it would cost to go stage 3 in an R55 or R56, you know, so on, that's about what you're looking at. And I mean, you can take away anything you want out of that. You don't have to lower the car. You don't have to, you know, put great grippy summer tires on it or anything like that. If you took all of that out of the equation, you know, you're probably looking at maybe 3,500 total. So yeah, maybe a little less depending. You know, if you do the work yourself and all that. So if you guys were curious, that's how much it costs to go stage 3. So I will see you guys in the next video. I'm going to try to create more content soon. The weather is going to really hold me back this week, so just bear with me. And as always, if you're visiting this channel for the first time, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you haven't checked out my Instagram, it's at Mike_Mini_R55. So that's at Mike Mini R55. Check out my Instagram. I do a lot of small updates on there. I take pictures. I do what I can to kind of keep you guys updated in between videos like these. So check out the Instagram page if you would. Leave a comment or a like. Let me know what you guys might want to see here in the future. And as always, I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate all you new subscribers. And I hope to keep this channel growing. Thank you.